Welcome back guys, Ness here once again. Today we're taking on Act 3, where support gems finally start dropping in Ruthless. And with Minion build being so flexible, I'm sure they'll be useful for us, because we can use pretty much all attack supports and Minion supports without issue. If we get caster supports, we can go for an absolution angle from Ciosa. We have physical to fire conversion with SRS, so multiple damage types work, you get the picture. So anyway, our first Mirage here is quite rewarding. We get the extra essence, a mana flask upgrade. One of the Gene's caches gives us an alteration and a Vaal Orb. We go for our body armor wish in the crematorium, dropping our first 4-link, which would be exciting to get this early in Act 3 if we weren't playing Ruthless. So after dealing with the first party, we head back to town, and after thinking about it for a while, I decide to take this pair as the quest reward. It does nothing for us right now, but once I finish the third lab and get the chaos conversion for minions, it becomes our best curse. So we're giving up some immediate power now for a stronger payoff later. Now, here in the sewers, if you ever wondered where the third bust is, there's a bit of a trick to it. The first one is always before the waypoint. The second one, right after, indicates where the third one is. If it's in a large open room, that means it's up. But if it's in a small closed room like this one, it's down. That's how I memorized it. Open up, close down. So as you can see, the third one is down from where the second one was, and not up close to the exit. Shortly after, in the battlefront, we get our first support gem. It's Bloodlust, however. So it's basically useless unless I go out of my way to make something else apply bleed first. I even considered getting Summon Reaper later on, just to enable it, by having the Reaper apply the bleed and Bloodlust linked to the other minions to buff their damage. But with Reaper weakening the rest of our minions, that just felt like one of those TikTok videos where someone finds a new way to peel a banana. Now here at the docks, we've learned our lesson from the Dweller back in Act 1. Since this is another guaranteed campaign essence, it probably won't drop both in and out of the Mirage. So we check the one outside first, then head into the Mirage to see if it rolls something better. Since this one comes with an extra essence, we go for the Mirage version. I also kill the outside one afterwards to confirm it doesn't drop an essence, mostly as a sanity check. Tells Dana we're fine, for now. Getting back to town, we identified 2 good gloves to replace our Loctonio Caress. One with life regen, armor and attributes, and the other with rarity and lightning res. I decided to go with the lightning res one, at least until we have cap resists. I also want to show here that there are a few failed crafting attempts along the way. This is one where I used one of the lesser essence to try and hit 2 or 3 minion mods and get 0. Nothing very interesting happened in the Solaris Temple, except that our amulet reward from the Allah is actually an upgrade with a bit more resistance than I currently do. We'll make quick work of Gravicious, take Raised Spectre as the reward, and head back to the old fields to grab a Carnage Chieftain. That's sorted, Friday goes down as well, setting up a couple nice upgrades afterwards. The first one is a pair of boots with additional stats other than move speed, and the second one is this helmet with cold resistance. Funny how just having a single resist roll makes something worthwhile in Ruthless. This upgrade is short-lived though, because as we are collecting the golden pages, our inventory fills up, and we identify yet another helmet upgrade. Same base, similar cold res, but with some extra fire res and a massive life roll. While we're in town, we throw some essence on our minion based gear and get a good hit with the ring, with lightning res, minion life and life regen. We then finish collecting the golden pages and take a vocation from Ciosa, which lets us instantly reposition the minions and pull them onto bosses. The heal is a nice bonus too. After all those upgrades, we're ready to take on Dominus. Now let the fight play out as usual. Then we've got our lab run, along with a support gem drop whose interaction with minions sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole. You can really see here that bosses are where this build shines right now. Even without any supports, Dominus is no trouble.
This world is an illusion, exile.
Just before I go to the lab to ascend, I drop life tap support, which I'm initially super excited about because I'm just thinking, this is a generic damage support, so any skill works with it, right? I even get a new body armor after finishing lab to link it to more skills. However, as I was preparing the path of building Link after recording, I noticed life tap just didn't improve damage whatsoever, even when enabling it in the config. So I went to look at the gem. Now, when you want to figure out how something works in Path of Exile, you usually need to interpret it literally. This case is not really different, but it has some nuances that have led me to the wrong conclusion at first. Life tap support has the following line: minions cannot gain the life tap buff. But I'm thinking to myself, well, that doesn't really matter, because the other line says supported skills deal 10 to 19% more damage while you have life tap. So my interpretation is that because I'm spending life and gaining the life tap buff, my skill should be dealing 10% more damage, as the damage buff is reliant on me having life tap, not my minions. And that is also correct. There's a caveat, which is that something like the Summon Raging Spirit skill doesn't deal any damage, nor do most of the minion skills, as you can see by the lack of DPS tooltip if you hover the skill bar or check the character screen. But then, how do most supports work with these minion skills? They actually do some double duty and support both the skill that creates the minion and the skills of the minion. So in the case of SRS, for example, that's a default attack, which means that something like life tap support wouldn't work anyway, even without the line that prevents minions from gaining the life tap buff. Because when the minion uses a skill, it has no cost. This was a big learning moment for me, so I thought I would share. Hopefully you learned something too from this Cesaro fight to the sound of my rant on life tap support. And here, we finally ascend to Necromancer and get the 20% resistances node. So this is the point where we check the vendor, finding a 5-socket Cabalist Regalia, which I decided to try my luck with crafting, getting a free link out of it with my single fusing. But hey, at least the essence craft was a good one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time, there is a next time.